Hello, fine folks. How's your day? I hope you all are doing absolutely fine. Welcome back to the Revenge Arc. Get ready for some spicy revenge stories that will have you cheering for the underdog. Let's dive into today's tale, where sweet justice is served in the most unexpected ways.
Tricking my slacker coworker into sabotaging himself. I work in an office with a guy I'll call Seth. Seth is that coworker everyone knows. Lazy, always passing his work on to someone else, and somehow always getting away with it. He'll sit around on his phone or go to the bathroom every 10 minutes. He's the kind of guy who will show up late, make some lame excuse about traffic, and then disappear for lunch for 2 hours. For the past 6 months, Seth's favorite target has been me. He'll send emails asking if I can help out with a project, but what he really means is, do all the work while I take the credit. I complained to my boss a couple of times, but somehow Seth always managed to weasel his way out of trouble. The final straw came when he passed off a major report that was due to a client in 2 days, dumping it on me last minute. One day I casually asked him if he was good with Excel, and he admitted he didn't know much about it. Perfect. The next time Seth tried to dump a bunch of spreadsheets on me to organize for his next report, I agreed. But this time, I embedded a series of hidden formulas into the documents. These formulas didn't do anything important, just enough to mess with the numbers if someone didn't know how to check for hidden cells. It took me a little time, but I was careful not to make it too obvious. The kicker? Every time Seth tried to copy and paste the data into his report, it would scramble everything just enough to be completely useless. On the day the report was due, Seth slacked off like usual, assuming I had handled it like always. When the client called, furious because the report was filled with nonsense numbers, Seth panicked. He rushed to fix it, but every time he tried to fix one part of the report, something else would break. He came to me, frantic, and asked for help. I acted confused and said, "Oh, I don't know what happened. Maybe it's a glitch." I gave him some vague advice and watched as he spent the entire day trying to salvage his mess. Our boss found out, and for once, Seth couldn't talk his way out of it. He got lambasted for screwing up such an important project and was put on temporary leave without pay. I guess he'll be doing his own work from now on.
The classic lazy coworker who thinks he can slack off and still get ahead. It's honestly impressive how some people can go so long without facing any consequences. But this time, OP wasn't having it. Embedding those hidden formulas? Genius. He had no idea what hit him. It's almost poetic how he kept trying to fix one thing, only to break something else. Watching him scramble, while OP just played the confused bystander? Pure gold. It's great that the boss finally saw through his act, and it looks like he learned a tough lesson. You can't keep passing the buck forever. Karma's a real thing, and sometimes it comes in the form of a spreadsheet disaster.
So, you don't like woke stuff? My niece works for a company in the Midwest known for their shipping and packing supplies. They are privately owned and very conservative, donating lots of money to Republican causes and candidates. They have strict rules on employee appearance, with men having to wear a tie and women must wear pantyhose and skirts. There can be no visible tattoos, single ear piercings on women only, and no other facial piercings. Desks can only have a single family photo, pets don't count. My niece had a marketing degree and was looking for a job. She identifies as non-binary, had a rainbow flag tattoo on her forearm, and a nose piercing. She knew about what they were like, but the pay was good, so she removed the stud from her nose, wore long sleeves to the interview, and got the job. While working there, she did what she could to make the world a better place. When setting up photo shoots for the catalog, she made sure that the people used were diverse, where before they had been whiter than mayo on Wonder Bread. She steered printing and supply contracts to minority or LGBTQ-owned companies wherever she could. She managed to get some of her LGBTQ friends hired in various departments. She also worked with a group that was staging a pro-choice rally to get them to print up placards on cardboard from the company's boxes, so you'd see their logo on the back of the sign, making it look like they were implicitly supporting the cause. At her desk, she knew she could only have one family photo, so she made it worthwhile. She took a photo from a family reunion with about 30 people in it and did some photoshopping. In the back row, she included Bill and Hillary, Joe Biden, and Obama. Eventually, she got a new job offer and put in her 2-week notice. She got permission to have someone help her take her belongings home. Her boss arranged a farewell party. That Friday, my niece showed up in ripped-up jeans and a Melissa Etheridge t-shirt. She had her head half-shaved, and the remaining hair was purple. She had extra earrings in each ear and a ring in her nose. Her rainbow tattoo was very prominent. And she brought her partner, a woman who purposely butched up her appearance with flannel shirt, Doc Marten boots, etc. In other words, they looked like what conservatives pictured when they thought of lesbians. They pulled everything from the desk drawers, loaded them in boxes, and headed to the break room. When they walked through the door, the noise stopped. My niece said you expected to hear a record scratch. Her manager stumbled out a mumbled, "Good luck." My niece's partner turned to my niece and said, "It's so sweet that they like you so much," and planted a big kiss on her lips. They stayed for a short time eating cake and saying goodbye. She turned in her office keys and left. Shortly after, my niece got emails from former coworkers saying they couldn't believe how ballsy she was and that they wished they had the guts to do something like that. My niece told them about the contracts and photos, and they promised to keep up the good work.
Talk about going out with a bang. OP's niece knew exactly what she was doing and made sure to leave her mark, literally and figuratively. From subtly making the workplace more inclusive to sneakily pushing her agenda through photo shoots and contracts, she was living her values while keeping her head down. But the grand finale? That was next level. Showing up in ripped jeans, a rainbow tattoo on full display, and her partner by her side? Absolute power move. It's like she was saying, you might not like woke stuff, but here it is, and I'm proud of it. The best part? Her co-workers admired her courage to be unapologetically herself. And even the company couldn't ignore the impact she made. Sometimes the quiet revolution is the most powerful one.
Dumped after using the L word. Several years ago, when I lived in Maine, I dated a man I'll call R. He was from Georgia, where his parents were founding members of a Southern Baptist church. I was past the point of wanting to remarry or cohabitate. Having a good relationship with a like-minded man was my goal. So R and I hit it off, and things were going well. He gave me every reason to believe that he was as into me as I was into him. He took me to Georgia, where I met his parents, and went to their church. Shockingly, lightning did not strike, but I digress. The relationship continued to progress as we drove back to Maine and spent more time together. Another month or so later, I told him that I loved him before I went back to my place, love being the L word. Based on all of his words and deeds, I was pretty sure he felt the same way, or was at least moving in that direction. When I went back to his house a day or two later, he had what few possessions I had at his house, toothbrush, etc., packed up, and he told me that we were done. Me using the L word was a deal breaker for him, which to me revealed him to be nothing but a con man. A good one at that for my cynical self to have fallen for it. I was currently working at a bank call center, but prior to that he had been a social worker who lost his license after having an inappropriate relationship with a female client. After he dumped me, I sent an email to his very religious parents, using an email address so similar to his that they wouldn't notice the difference, to confess his actions that led to losing his professional license. I included a link to this information from the state's website. Take that, a-hole.
Wow, what a roller coaster. Opie thought they were in a genuine relationship, but R's reaction to the L word? That was a clear red flag. To think he'd been stringing Opie along and then bailed the moment things got real. It's pretty messed up. But here's the kicker. Opie didn't just sit back. They took action and exposed R for who he truly was. I have to say, sending that email to his parents? Bold move. It's satisfying when someone who manipulates others gets a taste of their own medicine. R thought he could get away with being a con man, but OP made sure the truth came to light.
Neighbor asked for it. At my last residence, my next-door neighbors were an old couple. The husband was an ornery old frick. He had a pristine lawn and would run his sprinkler and just spray it all over my wood-sided garage. That side of the garage was in much worse shape than the others, presumably due to him and his sprinkler. I had repeatedly asked him not to let his sprinkler spray the side of my garage, but he continued to do it. My property line was actually about 4 feet off my driveway toward his house, but he would maintain the lawn all the way to the edge of my driveway and really considered that to be his property. But it wasn't. So one day, when pulling in my driveway, I see his sprinkler running in the back. I immediately eased off the driveway and just pasted the accelerator for about 25 feet, leaving a nice rut on my precious grass. The next day, I am reading quietly in my living room when I hear what the frick. That SOB. I jumped up and pulled back the blinds to see old man Dickhead standing there ready to have a cardiac. I just smiled, waved, and closed the blinds. The next day, old lady Dickhead came knocking on my door to ask why I would do such a thing. She left agreeing her husband would no longer run his sprinkler on my garage. I have one more stellar story where I got even pettier with this guy and forced him to put his house for sale after living there for 39 years. He ended up pulling it off the market, but I had him at the brink.
Some neighbors just don't know when to quit, and this one pushed OP too far. After repeatedly asking him to stop spraying the side of the garage, OP decided to leave a nice rut in his precious lawn. The old man's meltdown? Priceless. When his wife came knocking, it wasn't to blame OP, it was to settle the issue. Sometimes a little petty revenge is all it takes to get the point across, and OP really had this guy on the ropes. Classic payback. And that's a wrap for today's Revenge Arc. From clever coworkers getting their just desserts to neighbors learning the hard way, it's clear, sometimes a little revenge is all it takes to set things right. What do you think, fine folks? Have you ever been in a situation where a bit of payback felt like the only option? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Until next time, stay clever and keep fighting for your justice.